All right, so I'm going to show you how to do the formatting for the annotated bibliography. And I did mention in class that the formatting of this paper is really different than the formatting of the other papers in the class. So it's really important to pay attention to all the little things that are different about the formatting here. So the first thing that you need to do is go ahead and log in to your Google account using your Columbus State email address. And then if you go ahead and click on your drive and you go to your drive, you should see your folder. So this is Writing Project 3 draft. So I'm going to open up my Writing Project 3 draft folder, and right now it should be empty. So I'm going to go ahead and create a document. Okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to name the document my first name. I think some people are still putting their first and last name, so just first name. All right, and then I need to come up here to my font, Times New Roman, font size 12. And then I need to add my header in. So I'm going to go up here to File, or wait, I'm sorry, Insert, Header and Page Number. Go down to Page Number, select the first one. Move the cursor in front of the one and type your last name. I think some people I saw typing a first name on the last paper. I'm not quite sure why. It's last name always. And then I need to select all of this. And this is something some of you are still not doing, and which confuses me since we've done this so many times now. But you've got to select this whole thing here and make sure the font style and size is the same. So Times New Roman 12, and then click out of it. All right, and then yes, please make sure you're over here on left align. And then I can hit enter once. And then I need to put in my header information. So my name, space, or your name, space, and then my name, space, English 1100, comma, space, and then this is Writing Project 3, space, enter our date. I think the due date for the draft is the Wednesday the 20th. So remember, it's day, month, no comma or anything, and then year. All right, and then I can hit space, enter. Now I need my title. So everyone is going to have the same title for their annotated bibliography. You don't have to come up with anything special or unique. Everyone has been investigating the same topic for the research paper. So our title is Annotated Bibliography, Gender and Popular Culture. So that is everyone's title. So that is when I look at yours, this is what title I should see, because we've all been investigating the same topic here. It's not like we have different topics. All right, and then I'm going to hit enter, space, and then make sure I'm back over here with left align, and then tab over. And this is where you should begin your introduction paragraph. So let's say this is my introduction paragraph. Oops. Oh dear. That's all right. Okay. There we go. So remember, since we're in a draft, everything should be single spaced. So again, let's say this is just my introduction paragraph. So you should use the outline to help you with the introduction paragraph. Okay, it might be longer than this, but I'm going to stop it here. And then I'm actually going to come up here. And let's see, if I select just this first 2 lines and come up to my spacing, line spacing, okay, well, I can see it's not single space, so I've got to change all of that. Actually, I need to select all of this and make sure that it's single spaced. Okay, now that looks right. And then I need to select this part here, and this is just a trick, and I think so we need to remove these spaces, or we need to make sure there's not, and we can tell from looking at this, there is not an extra space here. So that this is correct. So it should be title here, and then there shouldn't, well, here you notice a space, but there's not an extra space, because if I click up here on the spacing, it might say remove space after paragraph. Then that lets you know that you have an extra space there. And I think on some people on your final copies, you're still having that extra space between your paragraphs and stuff. So we don't want to have any extra spaces. All right, so let's say that this is my, my introduction paragraph. And let's say this is where it stops. So I'm going to have a space here. I'm going to come down here. And then now this, and I don't know why this did that, but actually I need to tab over here. Because that should not have moved automatically over like that. But it did, so I'm confused about that. Well, it looks like oh, there we go. All right. I don't want to have that set up like that. Okay, so now I can put in, so after your introduction paragraph, the very next thing that you should have is your first works cited citation. So that is going to be different for everyone. So you have to do the alphabetical order. So remember, they have to be in alphabetical order. So, and that's based on the last name of the author or authors. So that applies to what? Book chapters, research studies, journal articles, or they get alphabetized by documentary title if you're using a documentary. So everyone's alphabetical order could look different. So on Blackboard, under your Writing Project 3 supplemental materials, you see here where I've given you examples of the works cited citations. So now these are examples, so you're supposed to use these to help you get all of your get the works cited citations for all of your sources. Some of them I've listed here, so you can move those over automatically, but these are just examples. So I always say to students, you have to use the examples and the information from each source, meaning journal title, what's the title of the book chapter, what book is it from. You have to use all the information from the secondary sources to write out the works cited citation. So some of them are here. There's a few that are here, but all of them are not here. And I think some students, they get confused by that. They think, well, how do I come up with the works cited citations for the sources? You have to use the examples here to help you with those. I mean, it's basically the same formatting. So if I open this up, I'm just going to open it up. Okay, so here's how you do a book chapter now. This is the chapter 5 one. I did that one for you. So let's say that's one of your secondary sources. This is what the works cited citation should look like. But let's say you used another book chapter. You have to use this to help you with that. So all of the book chapters came from the same book. So all of this information right here, this second line into the third line should be the same. The only difference is the author of the chapter, the title of the chapter, and then the page numbers. So all of the rest of the information should be the same if you've done a book chapter. And then documentary, okay, here's the one for Killing Us Softly. If you did the Tough Guys one, same thing. The title is going to be different. The director is the same. The Media Education Foundation part is the same. And I think this should be a single. I think there's a double space right here. This should be a single space. And then the year is different. And then let's see, for the research study, okay, here's one that we did not talk about in class, but all of this information came from the actual research study. So on the research studies, you should see this information. You should see the author, the title of the research study or journal article, the name of the journal that it came from, the volume number you should see, the issue number or numbers, you should see the year it was published, and then the page numbers. So now this part right here is where students get confused. So what is, let's see, the Seidman study. Now I know the Seidman study came from the International Journal of Instructional Media. Now that word international, I believe, is abbreviated on the journal article. You have to spell out the whole word. And then the volume numbers may be different. Issue numbers may be different. So let's see, if I go to, actually, let's look at one of the ones that we did in class, one of the research studies, to see where that information is actually located. Okay, so let's pull up the Seidman one. Okay, so students will say, okay, where do I get that information from? Okay, right here at the top, you can see it says International J, that stands for Journal of Instructional Media. So that's the name of the journal it came from. Here it says volume 26, and then in parentheses it says 1. That is the issue number. If you see a number or numbers in parentheses after the volume number, that is the issue number. And then you have the year. So this information right here, I have to use that to construct my my works cited citation. And then let's see, where's the one, which other research study did we look at? Okay, let's look at the Glasscock and Preston Schreck one. Okay, so this one, it says came from, okay, here's the journal title, volume number, issue numbers, year. And then the page numbers are listed. So this one started on 423 and ended on, technically this right here is the last page. The reference page is always the last page, 431. All right. So again, you have to use the information from the secondary sources to construct your works cited citations. This right here is not going to be listed on any of the secondary sources. That's why all of the information is there on the secondary source. You have to put it into the correct formatting and order. So like on the Seidman study, this says capital V for volume. That's not MLA. MLA is lowercase for volume. Same thing with issue number. On the Seidman study, it has it in parentheses. For MLA, it's NO. Now this one has numbers. There's more than one issue number. The Seidman study was just issue 1. So that would read NO period 1 space 1 comma then the year. So again, this document is really crucial to help you with the works cited citations that you need. All right, so let's go back to our document. Okay, so this line is going to be my first works cited citation. So let's say this is my citation. All right, so I know the first thing that I have to do is number this. So this citation should be the first one in your alphabetical list. Again, that could be different for everyone, depending on author, last name, or the title of the documentary. So the first thing that I have to do is I have to make sure my citations, all of them have to have the hanging indent. So I'm going to move these two over to 0.5, bring back the rectangle. Okay, so that's my works cited citation. And if I hit enter and come down, now I need to do the summary paragraph for this works cited citation. So I need to come over, tab over. Actually, I always forget myself. So yeah, it's under here. So actually, so I tabbed, if I go back, I tab over once, I tab over again to start my paragraph. So this is where my summary paragraph should start. Okay, so see, it automatically moves, so I've got to move that back. And then tab, oh dear. Oh yikes. Okay, so that's tab. No. Tab. Tab. All right, so there we go. So, and again, so you can even see myself, like I'm having to fidget around to make sure that everything lines up. So your summary and evaluation paragraph, you should see that I tabbed over for the start of my summary paragraph, but I notice here that the rest of the paragraph should be aligned with my hanging indent here from the works cited citation. Okay, so let's say that's my summary paragraph, and of course it'll be longer than that. Okay, then I need a space, space, and now my evaluation paragraph. All right, enter, enter. Oh man. Okay, so I've got my works cited citation here with the hanging indent. I've got my summary paragraph here, space, evaluation paragraph, and I see that both the summary and evaluation paragraphs are lined up with the hanging indent. So this would be my first entry right here. So this BCD, that counts as one entry. So that's my entry about whichever secondary source is first in my alphabetical list. I've got the works cited citation for it. I've got the summary paragraph, the evaluation paragraph. Okay, now I need my second entry. So now it actually looks like it's doing it automatically. So that is helpful. Ooh, that's not good. All right. No, that's not right. There we go. And it does take some fidgeting around. So there's my summary. This is my evaluation paragraph. Okay, now it's doing it automatically, so that's good. All right, so here's my second entry. So here's my works cited citation, whichever secondary source you have that comes second in the alphabetized list, and then you've got a space, your summary paragraph about that source, and then your evaluation paragraph about that source. Now here on Blackboard, where is it? Under the supplemental materials, I've given you examples for how to do the summary paragraph. So I have a summary paragraph model to help you with the book chapters and the journal articles or the documentaries, and then there's a separate summary model if you're including a research study. So you've got these two documents to help you with the summary paragraphs, and then you also have a summary model to help you with the evaluation paragraphs. So these three documents here are really helpful and useful to help you get your summary paragraphs and evaluation paragraphs into a good working order. And then remember, in your evaluation paragraph for each secondary source, you have to include one quote from the secondary source that you might include in your research paper. And you need to explain that quote, mention where you might use it in your research paper. Most of the quotes are going to be used in your analysis paragraph, so that part should be easy when you're thinking about, well, where might I include this? It's going to be in your analysis paragraph of whichever sources you're dealing with. Maybe you have a quote from a research study that you might use in your analysis paragraph about a comic strip. Maybe you have a quote from a research study that you might have an analysis paragraph of a music video. And I've got the direct quotes that paraphrases stuff that we talked about during Roddy Project 2. That is here as well to help you with the quotes. And then I've also listed here examples of how to do the in-text citations. So since we're dealing with written sources, most of our secondary sources are written, but we do have some documentary stuff to deal with as well. So you do need to open up this to look to see how to do in-text citations for a documentary. So, like, let's say you pull out a quote from the Jackson Katz documentary or the Gene Kilgore documentary. You have to know what goes in parentheses. It's not going to be a page number. For documentaries, it's the title of the documentary and then the timestamp information. And that information is included here in this document. But if I go back to my example here, all right, so I've got my title, I've got my introduction paragraph, my first secondary source citation, I've got the summary paragraph of this first secondary source, evaluation paragraph of the first secondary source. Then I've got my works cited citation of the second secondary source, summary paragraph of the second secondary source, evaluation paragraph of the second secondary source. So again, these are completed entries. So this BCD, that is one entry. EFG is a second entry. And then the other thing I'm asking for the draft are the other two works cited citations for your other sources. So remember, for your research paper, you have to have four sources that you're using for your paper. So you've got two of them here. B and E are your first two. I also want to see the works cited citations for the other two. So this would be H. This would be I. So I don't want to see to the other two completed entries. Like, I don't want to see your summary paragraph and evaluation paragraph for the other two secondary sources, but I do want to see the works cited citations for those, because I want to make sure, number one, that your alphabetical order is right, and number two, it gives me a chance to look at all of your works cited citations to tell you what, if they are correct or not, or what you need to do to fix them. So I know here I need to add my hanging indents. All right. So there you go. So this is what my draft should look like. So let's look at a completed example of it. So this one was from the spring. Okay, so I'm going to go through and look at it. Okay, this is correct. The last name and page number is right. Student's name, my name, English 1100, writing project 3, date, good. Notice her title, that is correct. There's a space here. Okay, then we have the introduction paragraph. And then I come down, I see a space after the introduction. Here is her first works cited citation. And I notice that it does have the hanging indent. And then there's a space. And then she goes into her summary paragraph of this book chapter. Space, and then the evaluation paragraph of the book chapter. All right, here's her second secondary source. Right here. Okay, this works cited citation is done correctly. It has the hanging indent, space. This is the evaluation paragraph, or this is the summary paragraph of the documentary. All right, then this is the evaluation paragraph of the documentary. And notice I see the quote here with the title of the documentary, timestamp, hour, second, minute. If I go up to the first entry, I see, okay, there's also a page number with a quote from the book chapter. And then at the end, I see the other two works cited citations here. And they both have a hanging indent. So yes, this is a good example of what the draft should look like. All of the information is included here. Each section that I'm asking for is complete and the formatting looks good. I don't see any issues with the spacing or anything like that. So here you can see her summary paragraph lines up with the hanging indent for the works cited citation, and the paragraph is indented. And all the way down, same thing for this one, lines up with the evaluation paragraph. It has the hanging indent with it, and it is indented correctly. Second entry, summary, lines up with the hanging indent here. It is indented correctly, and so is the evaluation paragraph. So, and the formatting of an annotated bibliography is crucial. Again, this paper is different than a standard paper. There's a lot more formatting issues to deal with because you are dealing with more, you have works cited citations inside of the paper. Technically, these would, in a normal paper, in your research paper, these will be listed, these works cited citations will be listed on a works cited page at the end of your research paper. But an annotated bibliography is very different from a research paper. It's basically where you've gathered your secondary sources to discuss them. So yes, the annotated bibliography, the formatting of it looks very different, and it is a little more complex. I mean, you can easily get confused and lost when it comes to the formatting, but I say, I mean, this is what, almost going on a 30-minute video. So, I mean, I tried to explain it the best that I can. I tried to give examples of everything here to show you what the formatting should look like. With this video, you will also have written directions for the formatting, which will show you a visual on the page of what it should look like. Some people, that's enough for them to be able to do it correctly. I also will put up the written directions on how to do the hanging indent if you're still having trouble with that. But yes, so this is what I'm expecting to see for the draft. So from top to bottom, this is what your draft with your two completed entries should look like. And then at the very end, you should have your other two works cited citations done. So again, title, introduction, first works cited citation, first summary, first evaluation, second, so that's one entry done. Second entry, works cited citation, summary, evaluation. And then the other two works cited citations for whichever two sources come last in your alphabetical order. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. And hopefully yours will turn out well.